podcast is now sponsored by TireSpot, the Northeast's leading tyre supplier with branches across the region. TireSpot don't just do tyres, they cover everything from servicing to wheel alignment. They can handle every aspect of your car's maintenance. For more information, visit tirespot.co.uk. Enjoy the episode. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the GallowgateShots YouTube channel and podcast. And we are back with another special podcast, a special one for you this week. I am your host, Kris, joined by Daryl and Deka. I just want to highlight straight away, the point of this podcast is just to look at the final three fixtures. But we are recording this at 7 o'clock on a Monday night. So we do have the Crystal Palace Man U game yet to be played, so we don't know the result of that one, but obviously we'll touch on that as we go through the podcast. So boys, I just wanted to get a couple of people together. Just obviously it is the last run really now, that last final push for Europe, and there are 3 or 4 teams in the mix for this one. Dek, I'm going to start with you first of all, because up until a few weeks ago we thought Spurs were gone. There's no catching Spurs. But Spurs' form has dropped dramatically, and they've kind of been sussed out a little bit, and they're stuck in this Ange ball way of playing, which everybody was buzzing with at the start of the season. Well, up until probably 2/3 of the season. Recently, hasn't been getting the points on the board, Decker.
Yeah, so it's a funny one because when Ange came in, obviously there was a lot of like,
mate.
You what?
Just because Ange was his mate.
Oh, mate, yeah, you know what I mean, mate. Yeah. The game this is just how I feel about it. Obviously, I'm not a Spurs expert or anything. I do have some stats for you though, so
Oh, hey.
You remember they played Chelsea in the league, and I think they got 2 players sent off, and they still kept playing this incredibly high line, and they got done in the end. And he got interviewed, and he was saying like, it's just who we are, mate. And then I felt as if it was from there where they seemed to get found out a little bit. So some of the stats that I have for you, so you guys will be really pleased to know this. So obviously they only won 1 in the last 5, and that last win was against Forest. In them 5 games, they've conceded 14 goals, and it's the 4th consecutive defeat, and that's their first time since 2004 that's actually happened. This is a bit of a weird one, but if the league had have started on Christmas Day, Spurs would be currently 16th place, and we've played a lot of football since Christmas Day. So I think people look at the last 5 games, but I think that form tells you the truth there, that it's worse than what you may think. And they haven't picked up a Premier League point since the 7th of April. And there's one you sent me, which confuses a bit. But based on the most recent form of the last 5 games, their average is 0.6 points per game, making it one of the worst performing teams.
Which
at the moment
we can tell a mile off, because Daryl, they have been shocking recently.
Yeah.
And I think that they're top talent. If you're looking at likes of Son and Maddison, just haven't been hitting the heights that they were earlier on the season, especially Maddison.
Yeah.
You need your players to be at top of their game, or this starts happening.
Yeah, absolutely. And even in that defense as well. I mean, you only have to go back to the week before they played us at St James's, and was it Van de Ven was getting raving reviews because he'd scored that goal, and his defending was tremendous. And then ever since then, it's just all gone to pot.
Like you said, excited to see what the grass of St James's about to smell like.
Exactly.
They have had, well, listen, nowhere near our level, of course, but injuries, of course. And Doggy got injured, who I actually think is a very good player on the left hand side, on the left back position. They've then brought Ben Davies in, and he got injured after I think 1 or 2 games. So they're having to revert Emerson from right back to left back, which is tough to do, right? So I think Liverpool.
I watched the game. I watched the last Spurs game, and he was shocking.
They targeted his side.
Yeah.
So now he's not exactly the most switched on right back. He's natural position. So you're putting him on left back. It's even more difficult. And I think I will also say in Spurs' defence, the games that they've had have been very tough. I mean, they've had Arsenal, they've had Liverpool, they've got Man City to come, they've had us away. So it has been tough for them. Now we will come on to their fixtures probably. I don't know if you want to do that now.
Yeah, so we'll look at their next 3 fixtures. Luckily for Spurs, they do have 2 home games, back-to-back home games, which always no home obviously games tend to get better results there. So they have Brighton coming up on Saturday. They then have, sorry, I'm lying. They've got Burnley coming up on Saturday. Then I have City going to their ground on the Tuesday night. And then obviously the last game of the season is Sheffield away. It's a blessing in disguise, that Sheffield away game for them.
I think all them stats I've read out there of how poor they've been, and the fans. Well, to be fair, there were some of them questioning Ange on Saturday. Or was it Sunday? I apologise, Sunday. Them last 3 games will be fine. I mean, the Man City game, of course, the Tottenham don't even want to win that game. Let's be very clear. There's not a fan of Tottenham wants to win that game anyway, given it'll help Arsenal. So, but having Burnley and Sheffield United, either side of the sandwich, if you like, is great for them. So I think fifth's out the window.
So we're looking, Daryl, because you mentioned this before we started recording, the likes of that Burnley game coming up could be a great one for a neutral, because Burnley once again fighting for their lives. Spurs fighting to stay in that position, which they currently have in 5th position. They're set on 60 points. If we skip on to the next game which Deka just mentioned there, the City game, it's a strange one for them, isn't it?
It is. And just trying to review it as well, it's just to drop back again to that Burnley game, it's a clash of styles that should really, like I said earlier, really be entertaining for the neutral. And then you look at the Man City game. Man City haven't won at the new Spurs ground yet since it was finished. So there's little omens knocking in here and there and everywhere. But as Deka rightly said, do they really want to win that game if it gives Arsenal the title?
I would say I don't think the players have that mindset.
I don't think
because the players aren't a fan. If that makes they're professional, they want to win a game, they want to beat City, they want to push on.
Don't end the season well.
But as a fan, of course, and Ange certainly doesn't want to throw that game away. You know what I mean? It's a funny one, though. I get it from a fan's perspective.
Imagine hearing that from a manager just going, I would just roll it.
The fans don't want to win this one, mate. And then they'll just lose.
The other thing I would say as well is, if you look at that Sheffield game on the last day, again, what happens when Spurs go to a relegated team on the last day?
Exactly. We'll look at obviously against us when was it
5-1? 5-1.
Obviously, that game annoyed me. I don't want to even go back. That pissed us off.
But there was a euphoria of Rafa, and that we had a different sort of thing to cling on to.
Yeah.
Whereas Sheffield United, I don't feel they're going to have that. If them got an unbelievable manager into the last game of the season, that would reunite everything and spur them on. But that's not going to happen, of course. So I would expect Spurs to win that one.
So if we're looking at Spurs' next 3 fixtures, like I said, it's Burnley, City, both those at home, then away to Sheffield. So possible 9 points there. How many points are they taking, Deka?
I probably definitely think 6.
Okay.
The only game that maybe Burnley's the one that I'm thinking possibly could Burnley do something, but I don't know. I did think Burnley were poor, to be quite honest, against us.
So that puts them on finishing on 66 points for Spurs, and that's probably them keeping that 5th position, isn't it?
I think so. Only just they've just done enough before Christmas.
I think we're one game shy. I honestly think we're one game shy.
I agree.
From just trying to pivot at the final post there. If we go on to the next team, and we'll focus on ourselves because we're 6th in the league. It's at this point of recording, we're 6th in the league. That might have changed by the time you listen to this one. But let's just say Man U are on the end of a defeat tonight. Daryl, we'll go down that route because that's what we're hoping for. We're all Crystal Palace fans at the minute. But Newcastle's next 3 fixtures, like I say, we're sitting 6th position on 56 points. We have our final game of the season at home to Brighton. Then we'll have 2 away trips. We'll have Man U, which is midweek, which is a huge game, but we'll talk about that in a second. Then we'll have Brentford away as well. It's quite tough for us as well.
Yeah, I mean, Brighton's recent form has just started to pick up a little bit. They beat Aston Villa last time out over the weekend. Again, that was at home. Our home form has really picked up again in recent weeks.
Normally performed well as well last home game of the season.
Yeah, that's it. There'll be people out there wanting to put on a show, and now that we've got Joe Linton and Mickey back as well, there's a little bit of depth in there. It's great to see them on the bench.
Huge for the squad confidence-wise as well. This is one of the things when we're preparing for this podcast I looked at and thinking the return of those 3 players which were saw on the bench, Pope, Almiron and Joe Linton, what a game changer for me. And the final 3 games of the season, they're going to be huge. Absolutely huge in that final push.
Absolutely. So, the home game, like you say, there'll be a show to be put on there for the fans to see everybody off for the season effectively. And even though there's still 2 games to go after that, I think we'll get on to the other teams as well, but I think the whole way this is going to play out hinges on that game at Old Trafford next week. I think whatever happens in that game will determine one way or the other how it's going to finish.
If you look at the current form guide as well, it is Newcastle. Well, out of the 4 teams that we're looking at, it is Newcastle and Chelsea who are top in that one, really.
Yeah.
Newcastle, our last 5 results, we have won 4, lost just 1.
Yeah.
If you look at Chelsea, they've won 3, drawn 1, and lost 1 as well. We'll talk about Chelsea in just a second, but our form of recent games, it's been phenomenal.
It's really picked up, and it was just that one little blip down at Crystal Palace, which is why we're hoping they'll do the same tonight in our favour against Man United. You know, it's really just picked up, and we've been putting the ball in the back of the net plenty of times as well. So we're being really prolific in front of goal.
I think what we'll have to look at as well is our away form hasn't been great this season compared to what it was last season.
Absolutely.
Yes, we do have 2 away fixtures, but it's started to plateau a little bit, our away form. I think in the last 6, it's pretty down the middle at the moment. I think we've actually won 3 and lost 3 the last 6 away games. It's probably a good point of the season for it to start even out, especially those 2 fixtures coming up. But go back to that Man U game. Huge.
Absolutely.
Monumental, that game.
So huge. And, you know, if we can get results to go in our favour tonight as we record and at the weekend as well, then we might not even... And obviously, we have to do a job on Saturday against Brighton. We might not even have to go to Old Trafford and get a win. We can get away with a draw. We just have to not lose.
Let's say worst case scenario, Deka, though. Let's say we're recording this podcast and Man U have got 3 points against Palace. That puts them equal with the number of games and 1 point ahead of Newcastle. Yeah. Once again, I'm going to say about that game coming up on Wednesday night, next Wednesday. It's no matter what the result is against Palace, it's still massive. We can still go into that game being 1 point behind Man United and come out on top afterwards.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, do they play Arsenal before us on that? They do, don't
yes, next Sunday.
Yeah, so obviously I think Arsenal will beat them. That's how I think. Yeah. Now, I don't know, you know, there's games, isn't there, in that is almost like a cup final type of event. And listen, I know Man United aren't what they were, and everyone always loves to have a joke about them, but you're still playing at Old Trafford, nighttime game, and I just have a feeling that it's a massive opportunity for the team and the players and the group to make a real statement, like, you know, and if you can go there and win, it'll be unbelievable. Like,
and for what it's worth, as absolutely honking as Man United have been, you just have to look at some of the results. You know, they scraped a draw against Bournemouth. They nearly won the thing at Brentford, and it was only because Brentford then came back in injury time after they'd scored and got an equaliser themselves. I mean, I was absolutely livid watching that Brentford game because I thought there's no way did they deserve to get 3 points out of that game.
That's what worries me. You get Man United, though, that no matter how bad, and this is probably one of the worst we've ever seen, this Man United team, and they still managed to grind out results.
Well, it goes to tell. I think we've had a great season, right? That's how I feel in terms of the injuries and the challenges we've had. And it's funny, isn't it? I feel every time I watch any news, anything, it's Man United have lost, and Man United is the joke. But Man United are still pushing. They're right up our arse. You know what I mean? So even though they've had a poor season, they're still thereabouts. I appreciate not for what them would want to have, but they're not exactly 10th or 11th. That's what I'm trying to say, and that's how I feel they should be, given the fact that every week they seem to get beat or whatever. But it would be part of us, right? I get what Daryl's saying, that it would be nice that if we go on that Wednesday night game and it doesn't matter if we lose. Part of me, I want it to mean something, and I want to go there.
Want to be neck and neck?
I do. A part of us. I mean, if you could guarantee us would win, you know what I mean? But it would be lovely to. Do you know why not? Like, let that be our little cup final and go there, beat them, and outright finish in that position.
I don't like how you keep saying cup final when it's against Man United.
Well, yeah, I know it's not, but like. It is
that feel.
It is.
We don't normally do well in them games.
And that's why, like, you know, we've talked about this for a long time, right? In terms of players growing and gaining experience, and sometimes you think, did that final come too early? Were they a bit too nervous? And then you've got Champions League games. Were they just a little bit naive? But them same players have still grown through all of that. And I feel as if maybe they could walk onto that game against Old Trafford and go, it's fine. You know, we're good enough to beat them. And mentioning the players that look at that bench on Saturday, man, it's wonderful. The bench, it looks so much stronger. Them players coming back in, it would be amazing to beat them.
Talking about players coming in, if you look at Man United, Daryl, players going out. You've got Maguire, which looks like he's out for the season now. Then you've got Fernandes, which hasn't featured in the game against Palace tonight.
Yeah,
bonus, isn't it?
Absolutely. I mean, again, when you look at, we just mentioned about how they were able to claw themselves back into these games where we think they've been down and out or whatever. It's been Fernandez that's been the driving force in that. And as much as we all hate him as a person because he's just a nasty piece of work and he's a bit of a mourner and all that, and he is their catalyst. And for him to be missing for the Palace game, and obviously we'll see what happens in that going forward, but if he misses any more games this season, then it really is going to be a nail in the coffin for them.
If we just look at the Man United fixtures, what it was, we've moved on to them. Currently sitting in 8th once again. I'm going to keep on saying this before this game against Palace. But their next fixtures, like I mentioned, they have Arsenal at home on Sunday. Then obviously the Newcastle United game, a final game of the season against Brighton. So very, very similar to our fixtures. Obviously, flip between the Arsenal game coming up.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, as we mentioned, that pivotal fixture against us in the middle of next week. And again, going to Brightford for them won't be Brightford.
I like this little hybrid team.
They're going to struggle against 22 players. Like,
yeah, exactly. But no, going to Brighton for them won't be a very easy task given Brighton's little resurgence they're having at home. So their run isn't as easy as it's made out to be either. And you know, again, if you look at that previous 5, in their form, as Deka mentioned before, Tottenham's form isn't great. Man United have only won 1 of their last 5. There's 1 win, 3 draws, and 1 loss. The only win that they had in that 5 was the 4-2 home win against Sheffield United. And you would think, well, why is that pivotal? Well, it is because Sheffield United twice led in that game.
Yeah.
And it was one of those games where they came back from a deficit and turned it round.
It's funny as that looked at the time that you know, you wouldn't expect Sheffield United to be leading. They could have quite easily been to a favor against us. So, you know, you kind of throw stones and I mean, too much, you know.
To add to that as well, if you look at that last 5 games there, the amount of goals they're conceding in those games as well. 1 against Burnley, 2 against Sheffield, 2 against Bournemouth, 2 against Liverpool, and 4 away to Chelsea. So they're absolutely shipping goals. I've got a little question for you. When do you think that the last kept a clean sheet in the league?
God.
It was a long time ago.
Really?
It was 7 league games ago, and it was on the 9th of March against Everton.
Was Onana playing?
Well, yes, he was actually. But Pickford was playing for Everton, so you know.
Okay.
And in terms, you just mentioned Onana there. They've only kept 8 clean sheets all season. That's 4 at home and 4 away. And it's the 11th best in the league.
And they've obviously got centre half issues as well.
Yes.
Now, there's a point to that. I mean, you could say, well, the leaking goals, so losing Maguire may be a good thing. I don't think it will be, though. And I think, you know, they're relying on Evans, who's obviously a canny age, hasn't had that much football. So that'll be tough.
You could flip that around, though, Deka, because we're quite short centre-back issue.
We are, yeah.
At the minute as well, with Dan Burn and Emil Kraft being our last centre-back partnership.
Yeah, well, Burn's been his correct position.
Well, Burn,
no,
phenomenal.
Just a joke, Mark, just a joke. No, absolutely.
Not
you're
joke.
Right. That's actually not at all.
It's 100% truth.
No, yeah. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. But I just think we're building really good momentum at the moment. Like, I think momentum's absolutely, I've said it for years about football, and what we're ending it as well as now, of course, it's still, we have to do our business, right? We still have to do our business, and Brighton to come and all the rest of it that we've talked about. But I don't know, my mind keeps going to that Wednesday night game because I think Palace will win tonight. I just have this feeling they might, and of course they're not going to kick off quite yet, but I don't know, it'll be interesting. Obviously Fernandez, I don't know how bad that injury is. Clearly he's not playing tonight, but is he going to be out longer? And Daryl's right, he's a huge part of what they are like.
The other thing to mention as well, and I don't want to mention it too soon because we'll have to bring it back when we start to round up the conversation, is going to be goal difference. And Man United's goal difference is just 1.
Because we are Eddie Howe's top scorer mags,
exactly,
man. That's why.
Exactly. And our goal difference is the best out of everybody in that little clutch at the minute.
Amazing.
But yeah, I mean, we'll come back to that when once we've rounded up.
I just want to go back to our fixtures as well. So, Deka, I know your answer. I know exactly what you're going to say. But out of the next 3 games, how many points are Newcastle United?
9.
I know you're going to say 9. I don't know why you're thinking about it.
Yeah, but yeah. Yeah, 9. Yeah, 9.
Yeah.
Now that's still a big ask. Like,
I agree with you though.
It is hard to look on paper and go, yeah, 9, and you've got, you know, it's not easy. Like, but I'm going to say 9. Yeah.
So that would put us on 63 points.
Yeah. What is
60? Yeah. So we're currently on 56.
Yeah.
Yeah, which
65. That would put us on.
Yeah, it'll be 65.
65, aye, bad maths.
Yeah. I was going to say that. Yeah, that's why I looked at that. Surely I can count.
Mathematics, ain't it?
Hey.
65 points, sorry. So
Yeah.
that's just a point behind Spurs.
66. Yeah, so it's that's how I feel it'll go. Yeah, I do. I do, but I don't know, I mean, I don't want to be doubtful here, but
Do you know what it is? After we beat Spurs at home 4-0, I didn't think we'd lose another game, and then we went to Palace and lost in the midweek after that. So
yeah, you just don't know, do you? And you just don't know. And I think Brighton is. Well, lucky it's the home game, right? We're lucky in that sense that I agree with Daryl that you could have that carnival atmosphere that we've seen on previous last home games in Arsenal at home, and it was the other one we had. It was Arsenal twice, wasn't it? No.
Spurs, if we could go back to Spurs, we've normally done pretty well last game of the season.
Yeah, well,
was it not Brighton last season as well?
Can't remember off the top of my head.
That was when we secured Champions League football, wasn't it?
Yeah, I can't remember. If we move on to Chelsea,
your dark horse in this.
Do you know what is? Asked me this question a couple of weeks ago, and I'm putting all my money on Newcastle United to nick that. Well, not even nick that, but secure that 6th place. Chelsea are scaring the shit out of me, like constantly looking over your shoulder. And we're talking about us scoring goals. They're up there as well. They can't not score at the minute, and they're bagging plenty as well. And the player which I want to mention is Cole Palmer. He's been fantastic, hasn't he?
He's been absolutely.
Even if we just go back to the Everton game, he's back 4 in the Everton game. Could have been more against that, but obviously he scores against West Ham as well, and he's got a bag full of assists as well. I think goal involvement. I think it's like something like 46% of Chelsea's fixtures. He's been involved in some sort of involvement in the goal, which is phenomenal.
I mean, he's arguably the signing of the season, isn't he? Really. For the division. He's just been absolutely out of this world. And then you see that happening and you think, well, why the hell did Man City let him go? Because that's where he's gone. That's where he's come from.
They can't afford to do it, though. That's the reason they can't afford to do it. It's not like us getting rid of Isaac. They can't afford to do it.
Tell us their fixtures to come.
So Chelsea's fixtures, they have probably, I would say, the easiest run of fixtures. They have 2 away games. So the next 2, Forest away, Brighton away. Then the finish the season with Bournemouth at home. It's a decent run. If I'm any team, I want that.
Brighton have such a big say in all this, isn't
it? They do. But if I'm picking any fixtures out of the 4 teams we've gone through, I'm going for Chelsea's.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would, it will be tough for them, like
toughy.
Because they'll be fighting for their lives as well. I mean, I know that it looks like they're pretty much safe, but they still need to confirm it, don't they? And what better way to do it than do it at home against Chelsea? But it's going to be close.
My money's on Chelsea.
They're a funny team, Chelsea, aren't they?
They are.
You tend to find you're not sure what's going to turn up.
But like Spurs.
Yeah. But they don't have smash teams when they turn up. But then again, you've seen them against Arsenal a couple of weeks ago, or it was only last week, I think. When they turn up and they're not at it, they're absolutely diabolical.
Yeah.
Even Poch
they can crumble.
Said that, But and I agree. I'd probably expect them to get 9. Like
4 points out of that for me, which means it makes our task even harder.
Yeah, and it comes back to that old saying, isn't it? Take care of your own business. It kind of comes back to that all the time.
Especially with them sat just 2 points.
Yeah.
Away from
we find ourselves now in the position where as long as we can better whatever they do, we're fine.
Yeah, exactly. And you don't want to. It's awful having to rely on other people, isn't it? You know what I mean? But yeah.
The thing is with the fixtures as well, they play their fixtures exact same time as what we do.
Oh, well, there you go.
So they've got the Saturday game, they've got the Wednesday, and they've got the Sunday. Which is you can't really monitor the situation.
They had to have a little pocket radio in you.
Yeah, till full time.
Headphones in.
If you look at their last 5 games, though, 1-3, drawn 1, lost 1, and that defeat would have probably came against Arsenal. I would have been.
Arsenal 5-0, yeah.
That's what it was in.
I don't know. I will talk about Cole Palmer, how crucial he's been. But if you flip that back round to Newcastle and you look at Isaac, we'll talk about silent season being Cole Palmer. But you know what is striker of the season? My money's going on Isaac. He's missed a lot. I think he's missed 10 games this season.
Yeah,
Premier
he's been
League
absolutely phenomenal. He's strike rate. When you look at all the figures put together and his strike rate, was it 20 goals now in 24 Premier League appearances? Well, it's ridiculous, isn't it? For a team. I mean, obviously you got Haaland, who's next level, but we're not talking about him. But Isak's rate's just absolutely phenomenal.
So I've been looking into Isak since he returned from injury, which was the back end of February, I believe it was. He's played 10 games since then. He's played 90 minutes in 7 of those, which is obviously because Callum Wilson hasn't been fit enough to come on and replace him. Every game that we win, so I'll just reword that. Every fixture that Isak scores in, we tend to win that game. There's only been one victory since his return where he hasn't scored.
Yeah, pivotal,
Which is Fulham,
yeah.
which was the Willock goal,
Willock, yeah.
1-0.
Bruno.
No, Bruno.
Was it Bruno? Sorry,
Bruno.
Bruno.
I still think Wilson coming back is going to be massive. I do, and Howe seems to be a real believer of trying to get them both on the field at the same time, because it's proven in the past that they've managed to cause defenses mayhem, and I think Wilson coming back at the business end could be, even though it's only a couple of games to go, I really feel that he could have a hand in. Well, he already kind of has, in a sense, right?
It drives the competition between the two of them as well, doesn't it?
100%. Yeah. I honestly think it could be good. But to go back to Isak, sorry, that was the point. Unbelievable, absolutely unbelievable. As a footballer, even when he hasn't scored, which is very rare, clearly, he's just involved in everything that we do. He's just similar to Gordon in that sense, that you tend to find that everything that good is he's involved somewhere along the line. Absolutely love him, absolutely. And again, and I don't want to go down this route, but the talk of him or Bruno leaving, I've said this for a long time, I don't feel either of them, and there won't be goings, by the way.
Yeah.
But I just feel you can't, because they're so important to us.
And we're talking about key players, and everyone keeps mentioning the likes of, like you said, Bruno and Isak there. But you just mentioned Gordon as well. Obviously, Gordon's not going anywhere because nobody could afford him being an English talent just arriving at the football club. And there's no way anybody can afford Gordon. I don't think you'd want to go anyway. But I think he's 20 contributions now towards goals. So it's 10 goals, 10 assists that he's hit. He's hitting a hot streak at the minute as well.
Unbelievable. It's his personal best. And you have to remember as well, it's only his first full season with us. You know what I mean? So that's what a return. And there's no way that I think you would be capable of that. Absolutely unbelievable. But again, you look at that Gary, it's funny, isn't it? We don't truly know any of these players, right?
Yeah.
But when you watch that Gary Neville overlap podcast, that was really interesting in terms of his frame of mind and his character. And the things he's saying that he does before games and things like that, I was like, wow, I never thought in a million years he'd be that way.
Yeah.
But proof's in the pudding, right? His numbers are
and just to bring a full circle back to Isak, I think I would not be surprised in the slightest if this season ends and he's already tied down onto a new contract with better terms, and obviously a better clause. If they need to put a clause in, they'll put a better clause in, so that it'd be like the Bruno one, where if you're going to want to buy him, you're going to have to pay through the nose.
You've got to buy between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m.
on the 30th of June.
Yeah, he's
making a leap. Yeah,
he's going absolutely nowhere.
So let's just wrap it up a little bit. Let's go through our final standings here.
Yeah.
So we're going to go from fifth down over. Are we all in agreement that Spurs are probably nicking that? Just
okay. It would take something.
Okay. Again, it's self-implode.
Yeah.
Next position, Deka.
Us, yeah.
Us.
No, I think us, yeah.
I agree.
I think us, yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
Sixth. Then if we go to seventh, I think Chelsea will nick seventh.
Yeah.
And that means Man U dropped right back down to eighth. So kind of currently how the league's standing at the moment, really, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. If all goes to plan. And I think obviously what the implications of it all, really, I think if we end on that or certainly discuss it, is what competition we're playing for, in terms of that. So obviously what we looked at before we started talking was obviously fifth place gets Europa League, obviously. And then the other spot for the Europa League goes to the FA Cup winners. So we're hoping Man City win that. Because if that doesn't happen and Man United won that, if we finish sixth, that would be conference for us.
Yeah.
So we need Man City to win the FA Cup in order for our sixth place spot to gain the Europa League spot.
But even said that, and just to put a positive spin on it, I think if you ask us this X amount of months ago when we're struggling in the league, when we couldn't really put two passes together in our mind would win a game, we thought any sort of European football right now would take.
Yeah.
I'm in the same boat right now.
Oh, yeah. I mean, if we do that now, considering everything that we've been through in the circumstances that we've found ourselves in, to be where we are now even is nothing short of phenomenal. There's no way we should have any right to be where we are now, given all those injuries and all those problems that we've had.
Especially when just a handful of weeks ago, fans were saying season's over.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, that quarter final was everybody's end of season, apparently. And look where we are now. And, there's such a, you have to give so much credit to Eddie and the boys for doing what they've done since, because like I say, it's nothing short of phenomenal that we now find ourselves in a position where we can still determine our own fate and still qualify for Europe.
And you've hit the nail on the head there. Determine our own fate. That's exactly what it is, there, isn't it?
100%, yeah,
our
and it's nice to be in that position, you know, that you can do that. It adds its own pressure in a certain way, but I think, as I say, momentum's key. Players are coming back. I really think we can do it, you know, and I think that what Daryl's saying, like I've said this for a few weeks on the podcast, to be fair, is like, I think it's as big an achievement as last season finishing top 4. That's how I feel. And
absolutely,
some outside fans be like, what are you talking about? Like, you know, we finished the Champions League. Yeah, we did, but what we've had to deal with this season, you know, like I said, Dan Ashworth, these other little things off the field, Dan Ashworth, Tonali, suspension. More games to handle. Like, there's so much stuff that has gone on. Eddie Howe's first season manager in Europe. There's just so many obstacles, really. And to be potentially, you know, in a European spot and it being in more own fate is outstanding. Like, and the mentality of the lads, because a lot of fans, as you mentioned, were like, oh, well, nothing more to play for now. But the lads have knew, you know, of course they've known that, no, there's a lot to play for. So even if it's the Conference League or Europa, I'm not bothered. I'd prefer Europa. If we go to the Conference League, we'll probably win it.
Yeah.
I agree. It doesn't take much to make me on board, you know.
No, that's it.
There's a good chance.
Like, honestly, one mention of winning the trophy, I'm all over that. I think in my head we're winning 3 this season. It's down to you, Deka, as well, encouraging us. But like, I agree with you. I think when we're talking about this plan for the future of the football club, obviously we didn't expect last season to happen. We didn't expect Champions League football, and we're all looking at the likes of Conference League, Europa, and things like that. I think we could probably win one of those trophies. We probably just took a little step back and just a bit down that ladder to where we were last season. But I don't think it's a bad thing at the end of the day.
Yeah.
No, not at all. No, and you know how I feel that I really wanted to get this off our back in regards to not winning a trophy. I really want as soon as we can to get that off, because I just feel it's this sort of
it's like a shadow.
It is a bit, yeah. And I just think the longer it goes on, you know, say we reach the next final, it doesn't happen, and you get this and it doesn't happen. It just becomes a darker and darker cloud.
Yeah.
We got tarnished with that brush for years, but we never even got close to winning something ever. Really, a couple of times in the FA Cup back in the day, but you know, we need to try and get over that hurdle. And I don't want to jump too far ahead because, you know, it sounds maybe a bit too over ambitious. But if we're, you know, I think next season, if we can attack, if it's the Conference League, for example, really think we could go far on that. Like,
I agree,
absolutely.
Anything that you want to add before?
Yeah. So, like, just to bring it back to it's an extra positive thing to look at, as well as the goal difference, and we're going to need an 11-goal swing. If anything, if it's going to come down really tight into the wire,
it's not happening.
We're going to be in the best position because we're 11 goals better off than everybody else.
Yeah, it's definitely not go down a goal difference. I can't. Well, sorry, if it does go down a goal difference, it's not even going to be close. It's not going to be touching distance.
We'll have
which
the
is
advantage.
Great. Yeah, which is great. Another thing that's on our side, if you like.
Thanks, Sheffield.
It's all them, isn't it?
Pretty much.
But I'm looking forward to it. You know what it is? Like, the end of a season, it is quite nerve-wracking, and it's quite. It can be quite tedious, but I'm really looking forward to this final 3 games and this running, because I think, like I mentioned before, balls in our court, that's ours to lose. And
we've been in a situation where we've looked at the end of the season to stay up. Yeah, and it's been really stressful for that way. So it is lovely that it's a nice positive. It's a really nice positive. I'm not stressed about it. It's great. Yeah. It's great to be sort of competing.
Only one thing I'm gutted about is our last home game of the season being
it's 2 games away.
It's 2 games away. If it had been that middle one, then great, then fantastic. The last game of the season, even better. But I don't know. I don't think that's going to have any sort of impact in the race and the state of the positions.
No, we just need to make sure that it gets with the 3 points.
Yes, we need the 3 points.
That's what that's all that matters at the minute.
Which we'll be fine. We'll get there.
And we'll just end it on, come on, Palace.
Thanks everybody who has been listening or watching to this one. We haven't decided if this is going out as a video yet, so if you can see, hi everybody. If not, if you're just listening to the audio, just give us a 5-star review. Drop a little comment on there as well. It means a lot to us. If it has gone out with video, become a subscriber. Costs you nothing to do that. We will be doing more podcasts like this throughout next season as well. Hopefully some European podcasts in there as well, as Eddie Howe's Mags fight for that Europa League title.
As we're going into the far eastern European countries to go looking for a win in the Europa Conference League.
Cheap flights all out of the shop.
Aye.
Cheap flights. Well, until they realise that way of playing. Then the price will go up. Tories. Thanks, everybody. See you later. Ta-ra.
Ta-ra.